It is 7 p.m. on the beautiful Pacific coast of the United States. Welcome. It is Hump Night. That's Wednesday. And it's November 5th, 2008. This is the talk show you've been waiting for, Lundon Calling. My name is Ace Lundon. Welcome all you wild and wonderful weirdos out there in Podland. Thanks for tuning in. Now, Lundon Calling is an internet talk show. That means communication. That's what this show is going to be all about, communication. And I'm supposed to communicate with you now in advance every show that if you have virgin ears, don't listen, please, don't listen. Folks tell me I have a potty mouth. Now, this is normal for me. Plus the fact that I'm not thought of as being very politically correct, so I sometimes say bad things. I told you my name was Ace Lundon. They also call me the Ace Man. Little kids call me Mr. Wrinkles. Little twerps. Can hardly wait until their first wrinkle appears. Then I'm going to have that last laugh. And because I'm a part of a large universal family, I'm also called Uncle Ace and Grandpa Ace. Some folks call me Mr. Lundon or Professor. And then there are those special folks who refer to me as Ace Hole. Ha! What's in a name, huh? The main thing is that we communicate with one another, like a lost art almost. Communication is a feeling. A feeling. It's not just talking. So I hope you feel me, because I'll be feeling you. Special thumbs up to all my Facebook friends. Hey, maybe we can set a new Facebook record someday with the Facebook listeners creating the #1 internet radio talk show podcast hit or something. Like join the fan club, okay? Well. Oh, I'm sorry, pardona me. Tape my butt and cut me off that broccoli. Sorry. Well, I know it's late for all of you at Central Michigan University in Mount Pleasant, but you're used to late hours, I'm sure, because I remember my university days. So here's my high five to all of you great leaders of tomorrow at CMU. Too many of you to name individually, but you know who you are, because I heard, yes I did, that you all tattooed an ace on your left butt cheek. Well, tell you what, I'm going to want to see all of those next time I get to CMU. I am located in Bullhead City, Arizona, on the beautiful Colorado River in the beautiful Mojave Desert across the river from Laughlin, Nevada. It's called the Tri-State Area. California, Arizona, Nevada. And now it's time for you to meet my partner in fun, frolic, and fooling around. He's located in Atlanta, Georgia. So I guess you could say we're going to be coming to you from coast to coast. His name is Lance, like the spear, Lance Helms, Helms, like in Helms. I think he's the illegitimate grandson of old North Carolina conservative Senator Jesse Helms, because you know how those religious conservatives fool around. Ooh. Are you there?
I am, and it's been all I could do not to bust out laughing during your opening monologue. You're killing me.
Okay. So, do you have any high fives? I high fived everybody at CMU in Michigan.
Well, I'm high fiving anyone I know who's actually tuned in to us tonight, and I appreciate them doing so. And
Okay,
I hope that they're not only entertained, but that they come back for more and tell a friend.
absolutely. Well, I got a high five me blimey friends in England. Yeah. But actually, they'll probably do the podcast, and that I guess they'll be able to download the podcast about 48 hours after this live show. So, hi to Sid and Paul in London town. And hi to Matt Marshall in his little town that he ravages there. And congrats to Ann and Brian in Texas that are listening in. And they know why I'm saying, whoopee! Hoo-hoo! You go, girl. And to Stormy Caldwell, who, if we had had the show last week, would have been listening in. But right now, she's listening from heaven. Bless her heart, she succumbed to stage 4 cancer. She's a tough old girl, though. She's probably my number one most favorite lesbian that I have ever met in my life. I love old. So hello, Stormy up there in heaven. I know you're with us. Okay. And then my brother-in-law, Tim, in Southern California, is going through it now, too, with a bone marrow transplant upcoming. And hello, Tim and Anita. Hope you're hanging in tough. You got a good attitude, and that's what it takes. Now, you say to me, maybe you're talking about stuff that's sad. No, it's not sad where that we go through life normally, and some have to go through sickness and illness and things. That's not sadness, that's life. Native Americans call it a circle. And if you don't think I'm lucky to have been surrounded in life by so many Native Americans, you don't know what luck is. Because I tell you, I have so many wonderful Native American brothers and sisters, and I wouldn't have wanted my life to have been without them. I'm also the luckiest man on the planet to have so many true friends. Now, that's an interesting thing, true friends. And as a result, there's no way I can give a high five by listing all of your names. But you know who I am seeing right now in my mind's eye, and I love you, love you, love you. Okay, what an election, Lance. Man,
Amen.
oh man, how the times have changed. You know, I've got to tell you something that uh, since I can't use the N word, what's a good word? What is that? What is a good word to use?
You can just say the N word.
The N word, okay, because I don't really like to say the word itself. But all of this election brought me back to Pasadena, California, in the the early mid 50s, and I'm, a little farm boy from South Dakota, and I got a room at the YMCA, and I had to take a bus to where I was going to be working. And this is, we didn't have buses on the farm in South Dakota, but I got on this bus and I went to the back, and the bus stopped. The driver stopped the bus, and he comes back and gets me and says, "You can't sit back here." And well, there's nobody sitting here. I can sit here. And he says, "No, no, this is for the N word." And I thought, huh, they make them sit in the back of the bus? That's crazy. Now, of course, in South Dakota, we had never seen a black person.
I was going to say, how did you even know what that word meant?
Well, I'd heard it. But, there's also, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to use the word, there are white niggers too. You know that.
You just said the word.
I did.
Oh my
But
goodness. And we had a whole conversation about this.
I know, but there are white ones. And
But
that's what
what does that mean really? I don't understand.
there is. There is.
Why do
The
people say things like that?
They should look that word up in the dictionary and find out.
What, the word white?
You know.
I would
Anyway,
really hope that the other word is not in the dictionary.
oh yeah, it is. At least it's in my old dictionary. Anyway, that's what happened. And talk about how the times have changed. Boy,
I was going to say, so this big monologue is basically your roundabout way of saying, wow, times have changed.
yeah, yeah.
Because here we are 50 plus years, because you said you were in Pasadena in what, the early 50s?
Yeah, well, it was about 54, 55.
So just over 50 years from, and we're hearing stories like this all over the country. A
Yeah.
coworker of mine,
I walked into I walked into a bathroom one time back then, and hear all of these black men say, "You can't be in here. You got to go to the white bathroom." Well, that was something new for me too, you know. So I had to get used to all of that
Is this
back then.
California as well?
Yeah, didn't make any sense to me, but I lived through it, and boy, how the times have changed. Thank God.
See
Yeah.
now, and I have to weigh in as a native Southerner and say that having grown up in a part of the country where you know that that's your regional history, that all of that stuff went on. I don't know. I think I naively assumed that it just didn't really happen that way in the rest of the country. I don't know what I thought the rest of the country looked like while the South was that way.
Well, we have such a large country, area-wise, that it is really different. When in my freshman year in the university, I had a roommate from Sweetwater, Texas. Do you know that it took me almost 6 weeks to understand what in the hell he was saying? His
Oh, I don't
accent
doubt
was,
it.
his accent was so thick. And so I'd say, Stanley, slow down. God, you know?
Oh, he was one of those fast talking Southerners.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So things have changed in the schools too these days. Maybe most of our straight listeners don't know about this, but thinking about back to CMU, to Central Michigan University, our campuses today across the United States are very active with labors in what I call gay pride. And Shane Windemeyer, a buddy down in your area of the country on the coast there in Virginia and such, has started an organization called Campus Pride. And
Oh, that's
man,
right.
yeah, man, he does such a great job in helping all of the various campuses. For instance, the University of Nevada at Reno. I lived there, for a few years, 10 years. They have what's called the Queer Student Union, and Rian Chin and Jeremy are just great in there. They've got a good group. Uh, when I was back there in the early '90s, and I'd be speaking at the college and such, there were just maybe 12 or 24. Now they've got it around 100 in their group there. And of course, there's Brown University's got a great. They're called for the straight listeners. They're called GLBT, gay, lesbian, bi, trans. GLBT. I just call it gay because the GLBT just screws me up all the time.
Now,
But
Ace, you can't lump transgender in with gay. You can't do that.
it's called GLBT. That's what they're all. I realize you can't, but that's what the groups
I say
are.
queer. I say queer. That seems to be
That's
the.
good. All of the queer groups, that's all right with me too.
Yeah.
They've got a great queer group at Brown University in Princeton, and Doc Brower over at the University of Vermont. High five to you, Doc. And Doug Broder at Indiana U. Sacramento State has a great pride group. University of Wisconsin at Parkside. Anna Guerrero, my adopted granddaughter, is heading up that group there. What a great gang. And also at Penn State. My God, these kids at Penn State, they have a wonderful functioning uh, queer student union or whatever you want to call it there. Colorado State. Hi, Zach. Yeah. Jose at UN
Colorado straight.
Straight, yeah, Colorado State. Jose at UNLV, Judy over at Hastings, James T. Jackson, who moved from Bowling Green, and he's down at Toledo U now. Another excellent organizer. Carrie Pointer, who has switched from Columbia to NYU. Jamie Grosser at Cal State Pomona. David Leo here in my home state of Arizona. He's got a great group down at AZU. Man, like 50 plus in attendance all the time. So, folks, the schools are doing a lot, in case you didn't know it, to try to help the young students that are gay, lesbian, bi, or transgender. And bless their hearts, they are doing a good thing. And I'd also like to do a high five to all my witch friends since we just passed Halloween. Yes, I have some friends who are definitely witches.
What does that mean,
Congrats.
witches, though? What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know. I've heard of witches and bitches, but
Are
there's a
they
big
are they Wiccans? Are they pagans? Is
yeah,
that what it is?
yeah. They're pagans. Yes,
Okay.
I guess you'd call it. I have relatives who are and such, and I've been involved over the years in my years in the ministry and such. So I became acquainted with witches. Anyway, congrats to Obama, huh? We've come a long way.
Amen.
We've come a long ways from that bus ride in Pasadena, let me tell you.
He changed the game too, and I just had to. It just dawned on me when we got started looking at ever since last night, I've been going back and forth between the New York Times and CNN online, and even the Atlanta Journal Constitution's website, looking at the state by state blue and red electoral map, and it only just now hit me that you and I are co-broadcasting from what I hope are two of the last red states on the map.
Well, you're a Democrat, so naturally, yes. Well, I tell you, uh, it's, you know, that's the way the map flops. There are red and there are blue.
That's right.
There's yeah, but the world or the United States is definitely going through a change now. You cannot stop it now.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Did you say man or ma'am?
I said no, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
That's a southern thing. No, ma'am.
Evidently you weren't talking to me, sweetheart. Okay.
It was a generic. It's just an expression. It was
I
a
got it. I
figure
got
of speech. No, ma'am.
Hey, you know what? When I think of Obama, I think of one of my life poems. Now, Obama is a Democrat, I'm a Republican, but I can relate to him, even if he is a Democrat. You know that. And I, I, I adopted poems when I was in grade school, and I can't help but, uh, you know, feel Obama in this life poem of mine. And it goes, I have made it my own poem. Somebody once told me that it couldn't be done, but I, with a chuckle, replied that maybe it couldn't. But I'd be one who wouldn't say so till I tried, and so I buckled right in with a trace of a grin on my face. If I worried, I hid it. I just started to sing as I tackled that thing that couldn't be done. And I did it. Somebody scoffed. Ah, you'll never do that. At least no one ever has done it. So I rolled up my sleeves and put on my hat, and the first thing I knew, I'd begun it. You know, that poem relates me to Obama because he has certainly taken his youthful thoughts and put them into the it could be done section. That's how I've lived my life too. And everybody says, how come you've done so much? I said, because somebody told me it couldn't be done and I did it,
There
you
you
know?
go.
And they've said, well, haven't you ever failed? And I said, sure, I suppose you could call it that. I've had a lot of so-called successes and more failures than successes. But as Kipling says, success and failure, triumph and disaster are all imposters. So I don't pay any attention to them. Whatever, you know.
Wise words.
Yeah. Oh, I have got to stop eating that broccoli. So
What are you doing?
I don't know. But I love farts. Why?
Oh,
Because,
God.
well, the world is so full of bullshit and gas that you just gotta love farts, you know? Have you heard of the trickle down theory, Lance?
Yes.
Well, I got news for you. It only works when you're peeing.
How do you go
I
from
mean,
Obama to bodily functions? How does that happen?
life. Hey,
There's so
speaking.
much we could be talking about. There's There's the snapshot of Sarah Palin on the verge of tears during John McCain's concession speech, which I still have yet to watch, but I heard he did a great job.
Yes, he did. You know, my favorite show that I was watching on the news that did the best job on the coverage of the election was CNN and Fox. Those two did great.
Well,
MSN,
CNN, of course, they do the their job all around. What I really appreciated about Fox
Fox,
last night was that they were a lot quicker to call the states.
they were excellent. MSNBC though, they I don't know that I just finally said enough is enough, and I just kept watching Fox and CNN. Anyway, speaking of bodily functions, how about a broccoli casserole?
Oh,
Ah,
geez.
this woman goes to her boyfriend's parents' house for dinner. This is her first time meeting the family, and she's very nervous. Been there, done that, yes. They all sit down and begin eating a fine meal. Now, the woman is beginning to feel a little discomfort thanks to her nervousness and the broccoli casserole. The gas pains are almost making her eyes water. Been there, done that too. And left with no other choice, she decides to relieve herself a little bit and lets out a dainty fart. Well, it wasn't loud, but everyone at the table heard the poof. Before she even had a chance to be embarrassed, her boyfriend's father looked over at the dog that had been snoozing under the woman's chair and said in a rather stern voice, "Skippy." Well, the woman thought, "Oh God, this is great," and a big smile came over her face. A couple of minutes later, she was beginning to feel the pain again. This time she didn't even hesitate. She let a much louder and longer, and the father looked at the dog and yelled, "Skippy!" And once again, the woman smiled and thought, "Yes." A few minutes later, the woman had to let another rip, and this time she didn't even think about it, and she let a fart rip that rivaled a train whistle blowing. And once again, the father looked at the dog with disgust and yelled, "Skippy, get away from her before she shits on you."
I love it.
What would the world be without jokes and humor? Man. Uh, hey, folks, if you've got something you'd like to chat about, you can us. Lance, what's our email address?
I'm glad you asked that. It's london.calling@gmail.com. And of course, London is spelled Lundon. So Lundon CALLING@gmail.com.
Okay, folks, type it in and get ready to email us because we during the show we can hear your comments through email or hear whatever. There are no taboo topics, and I promise not to take offense if you tell me I'm full of shit. Really, I'm an old farm boy, and I can understand that object of the preposition. So get in touch. Get in touch with us. Let's start communicating. Now you can't call in because I can't afford the phone yet, but you can in your questions and comments. So let's hear from you folks. It's called communication. That's
It's a
what life
wonderful thing.
that's what life is about, you know. And speaking of communicating, married couples need to communicate also. There's this husband and wife. They'd been married a few years, and she was wondering about how he was thinking now. So she asked him, "What were your first thoughts when we first met, honey?" Oh, loaded question. "Well," he said, "I wanted to suck your titties dry and screw your brains out."
You did not just go there.
That's what he said to her. And she says, "Oh, that's so sweet, honey." And he says, "Looks like I did a pretty good job, huh?" It's called communication.
Unbelievable.
Aristotle, the great Aristotle, said, "It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it." Can you repeat that to me, student Lance?
Yes, but what does that have to do with bodily functions?
It has to do with you can listen and entertain any thoughts, but you don't have to accept them, you know. You don't like my jokes? Tell me you don't like them, you know?
Oh, I didn't say I didn't like them. I'm just, you know,
Yeah, okay.
still not done gloating about Obama. Let's just put it that way.
Oh,
Well,
well,
let me ask you this question. So,
you'll get over it. You'll get over
who'd you vote for?
I'm a Republican who voted for Obama.
And is this the first time that you've crossed the party line?
There have been a couple of others over the past.
How long ago?
A while back.
Like John F. Kennedy,
Uh, I did vote for him, yes.
Carter,
No,
Clinton.
no.
Interesting.
I voted the second time for him.
You voted for Clinton version 2.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you were for Daddy Bush, but then Clinton.
Yeah.
Got it. So JFK and Clinton. Well, that's not too
And I,
bad. That's not
and
too bad.
I like Daddy Bush. Yes, I do.
Really
Hmm.
interesting. What do you think? Who do you think our choices will be 4 years from now?
Oh, Lord help us. I don't know.
You think Obama will be a one-term president?
I hope not.
I
Because
hope.
I think it takes a good 8 years to do what a president needs to do and has on his plate to do. And I'd like to see it go to 8 years rather than four. But
You think we should elect our presidents for 8-year terms?
yep, yep, I
Oh,
do.
good grief!
Oh, good grief,
I
yes,
bet you're a party of one on that one.
probably, but that's all right. That's just me,
It's a
you know.
life condition for you, I'm sure.
It's like Aristotle said, you just have to entertain the thought. You don't have to accept it, my dear. Now you know I'm an old South Dakota farm boy, but
Yes, you said that.
I do still try to keep in touch with my fellow South Dakotans. So hi out there in South Dakota. You know, we don't talk much about politics on my shows. I haven't done it in the past, but I'm going to talk a little bit about some South Dakota politics because my cousin Janelle O'Connor down in southeast South Dakota was running for one of the state representative offices, and Greg Kniffen was the first openly gay person to ever run for office in the state, and neither of them won. But I'm proud of both of you guys back there. If you're listening in right now, I'm proud of you because you tried. And even if you're both Democrats, you're still okay in my book,
Oh,
okay?
stop. Democrats
Oh,
aren't
stop.
bad.
Oh, stop.
Terrible. Oh,
What
my
in the
little Montreal guy's trying to talk to me again. Oh, where'd he go? All right. He needs to be quiet. Well, let me tell you this. This is from an online article that I pulled up. The Gay and Lesbian Victory Fund, which endorsed 111 openly lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender candidates, reported that 70% of its candidates had won their races.
Well, if I were a religious person, I'd say hallelujah. Mhm. You know, it's so different for me, Lance, because uh, being one of the pioneers for gay rights, you know, I can remember when our doors are being kicked in and everything. You know, it's what a change it is these days compared to all of that. Let me tell you, and it's good to know that the seeds we sowed back 40 years ago have come to fruition, and just the gardens are growing all around the states. You know, I even was thinking the people that hate, you know, because the gay community has been hated. We know what hate is about. We can uh, realize what the black community has been going through with their hate, and what the Latino community has been going through with hate. You know, it's like 62% of the hate crimes in America last year were against Latinos. Now,
Really?
I say this, that since we know what hate is about, uh, it helps us to also know what love is about, because you can't know love without hate, or vice versa. And it helps
Wait,
us.
now, what does that mean? You have to unpack that.
If there's a yin in life, there is a yang, and
Oh, I don't doubt
if
that.
one of them doesn't exist, the other one wouldn't exist. If there is a positive, there has to be a negative, and
Oh,
vice
but
versa.
I beg to differ. So I have to know hate in order to know love?
Yeah, you know what hate is.
Yeah, but what does that have to? I don't know how I feel
It
about that.
helps. It helps.
I'm gonna have to meditate on that one.
Okay, we'll put a little something in your food, and you can do some
We'll
meditation.
we'll uh, we'll bookmark that thought and return to it.
What I was driving at is that the Black community and the Latino community should be able to relate to those of us in the gay community, because of what they've been going through, and what we went through and are going through. We should be able to relate very well with one another, because we have learned about hate.
Well, that is a very nice thought, but of course, the bill of goods that people are sold about gay people is that it's a choice, it's behavior. You don't get to choose the color of your skin, onward and so forth. I think that's what we're up against.
Well, I don't cut well to ignorance, and people are ignorant out there. I shouldn't say that, but it is the truth.
Well, and nothing's going to be better for those people than on January 21st of 2009 for them to wake up in America and see the country running as usual and realize there is a black man running this joint and the world is not trying to end.
Yeah, yeah. However, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be really hating that. They may not have the white hoods on anymore, but they're still out there.
Oh, it gets under their skin. You know it.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. Getting to know you, getting to know all about you. Do you have an active sex life, Lance?
Um, Nice. That's really nice.
Anyone else involved?
That's even better. Thank you. That's great. Welcome to our inaugural podcast. The Bullhead City version of Dr. Ruth Westheimer takes on the
Uh,
non-existent love/sex life of
I
Mr.
like that. I like that little old lady from Canada that's on one of the channels.
Oh, is she from Canada? The one that gets on and just
Yeah,
the
she's
women
good.
call in
She's
and she
she's
talks
so
about vibrators and all that good stuff.
anything she talks about, she's good, and she knows what she's talking about, and she
Well,
helps people. By the way, you work for now. Maybe they'll become one of our sponsors in the future here. But you work for a magazine, don't you?
I do. We are sort of a magazine meets a newspaper. We're a national weekly um, arts and entertainment weekly that, in a lot of respects, probably looks and functions like a magazine, but it's printed on newsprint, and so we refer to ourselves as a paper. To us, we're a newspaper sort of ish thing. So
Okay, I'm familiar with that
yeah,
brand or breed.
it's
Yeah.
any major city that you've been in has the racks with the local urban, funky, alternative community, arts and entertainment weekly, and we are essentially a version of that that's aimed at African Americans.
Uh huh.
And we're
What is the name? Is it okay for you to tell the name
oh,
of the
absolutely, it's called Rolling Out.
Rolling Out? Okay.
Rolling Out, and it's published in 19 of the top 25 African American markets in the country.
Hey, good deal. Okay.
So I have to say, it's been, I'm not usually at the intersection of anything momentous in history or circumstance. It's just not my way, but it is interesting to have just started a job at basically a black-run company with mostly African American employees, and to have all this happening around us, and to go to work today, and overhear things like a coworker talking to a friend and saying, I'm happy about what's happened, and then I talked to my grandmother, and she sort of framed it for me by saying, I am old enough to remember when we could not even vote.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
talk about the arc of history,
Yep.
to be able to remember a time when African Americans could not even vote, and to wit. Did you see Barack's acceptance speech last night, where they
Sure.
did
Yep.
the close up
I
on?
saw all of it. I
Well,
saw all
did
of
you see the close ups of Oprah and Jesse Jackson, and they were
it. Yep.
crying?
Yep.
And I have to say, it's a little bit emotional for me. I didn't find myself choked up, but I have found myself kind of like, there's no better word for it, but just grinning. I remember I realized watching last night during the speech, at one point I realized I was just grinning from ear to ear. And it happened to me a couple of times today. I would just think about it and go, wow, it actually happened.
Yeah.
Uh, Everything's different now. It just
I tell
is.
I tell you, when I was watching, I was thinking back in time when a few years back when there wasn't television, and I was listening to all of the election results on the radio, and it was so exciting even then to be listening to history being made. And I'll never forget, I should say, when Truman beat Dewey. I thought I was going to fall off my chair. Oh, but yes, we listen and we watch. And today we are into everything. Yeah.
Well, speaking of getting your news from the radio, um, did I ever tell you about how I experienced 9/11?
No, but they certainly have been talking a lot about it again, you know.
Well, I was I was actually overseas. I had flown to Italy the day before, and this was back when I lived in New York. So it was a very odd experience. I
Yeah.
was
There
back.
are things there are things like 9/11, like the assassination of Kennedy or the assassination of King, etc., that people can remember where they were and what they were doing.
Well, what I was going to say is, in addition to that, what reminded me of this, you were talking about, you know, getting news from the radio. We were on a centuries old Italian farm, basically an olive estate, and really didn't have access to television. And I personally was kind of okay with that, because once we took in what was happening, it was like, well, how much more can you really kind of gorge on television coverage? Um, but we had a shortwave radio, and so for the first few days after 9/11, when everybody was trying to figure out what was going on, we got all of our news courtesy of the BBC over shortwave. And I have to
I
say,
love I love the BBC.
well, it was a really, I think, very sane way to take it all in, to take in something like that that was so um, just kind of beyond comprehension at that point.
Hmm. Do you have any life poems?
Life poems?
Uh-huh, that have been a part of your life?
Oh, is this you prodding me to read some Mary Oliver?
No, not yet. we're
I
we're, we're going to have a show with Mary, so help me God.
think that's a
Yes,
great idea.
yeah. But I've always told my students to learn three different poems to memorize them. And I'll give them to you and to anyone listening. And these poems, the first one you already heard was It Couldn't Be Done by Edgar Guest. Then the second one is Trees by Joyce Kilmer.
Right.
Uh, and you might say, why a poem like Trees? Because I believe very strongly that Mother Nature is in charge here, and therefore the trees give me that knowledge that every time I see a tree, I think of Mother Nature and the Creator. So that's an important poem. And
What
then
is
the
it? I
third,
think that I shall never see a what as lovely as a tree? A
a
poem. That's right.
poem, yeah.
That's right.
And then the third poem is Rudyard Kipling's great poem called If. So it memorize those three poems. Look them up, read them, memorize them. They should be a part of everyone's life. Do you do crossword puzzles?
I don't. Does that make me a bad person?
No, no. I do the I I use it to wake my brain up in the morning. I use the L.A. Times and the New York Times crossword puzzles to get me going. But there was a word the other day that had me going. Let me tell you, it wanted a three-letter word for quote. It may be stroked, and I'm thinking, oh yes, a three-letter word. I could think of a five-letter word starting with P. It may be stroked. Well, it took me about a half an hour to figure that one out. But it wasn't penis.
Oh, you had to take us there.
Yeah. What can I say? Do you have a pet?
I don't. I
You don't. Old
don't.
people, old people should have pets. Young people should have pets. Everybody should have a pet. You know.
I am a great. I'm a great dog sitter. I'm a great dog uncle. I'm a great um, foster dog parent. Love all that, but have never been able to persuade myself to make the leap and actually have an animal that it's mine. I'm responsible for it 24/7.
Yeah. And pets make us responsible. They
Yeah,
really do. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I've
Well,
I've got something I want to share with you.
color me
Now,
immature.
I got something I want to share. And if I'm crying by the end of this, you're going to have to just kind of pick up and keep going here. But this was written by and placed in a full page ad in Grand Rapids, Michigan, paid for by the man that had the dog or wrote it. It's an essay, and it by Jim Willis. And I swear this man has a real gift of writing because he wrote it from the standpoint of the dog. And the dog is talking. And the dog's question is, how could you? And it goes like this. When I was a puppy, I entertained you with my antics and made you laugh. You called me your child, and despite a number of chewed shoes and a couple of murdered throw pillows, I became your best friend. Whenever I was bad, you'd shake your finger at me and ask, how could you? But then you'd relent and roll me over for a belly rub. My housebreaking took a little longer than expected because you were terribly busy, but we worked on that together. I remember those nights of nuzzling you in bed and listening to your confidences and secret dreams, and I believed that life could not be any more perfect. We went for long walks and runs in the park, car rides, stops for ice cream. I only got the cone because ice cream is bad for dogs, you said. And I took long naps in the sun, waiting for you to come home at the end of the day. Gradually, you began spending more time at work and on your career and more time searching for a human mate. I waited for you patiently, comforted you through heartbreaks and disappointments, never chided you about your bad decisions, and I romped with glee at your homecomings. And when you fell in love, she, now your wife, is not a dog person. Still, I welcomed her into our home, tried to show her affection, and obeyed her, and I was happy because you were happy. Then the human babies came along, and I shared your excitement. I was fascinated by their pinkness and how they smelled, and I wanted to mother them too. Only she and you worried that I might hurt them. And so I spent most of my time banished to another room or to a dog crate. Oh, how I wanted to love them, but I became a prisoner of love. As they began to grow, I became their friend. They clung to my fur and pulled themselves up on wobbly legs, poked fingers in my eyes, investigated my ears, and gave me kisses on my nose. I loved everything about them and their touch, because your touch was now so infrequent, and I would have defended them with my life if I'd need be. I would sneak into their beds and listen to their worries and secret dreams, and together we waited for the sound of your car in the driveway. There had been a time when others asked if you had a dog that you produced a photo of me from your wallet and told them stories about me. These past years, you just answered yes and changed the subject. I'd gone from being your dog to just a dog, and you resented every expenditure on my behalf. Now you have a new career opportunity in another city, and you and they will be moving to an apartment that does not allow pets. You made the right decision for your family, but there was a time when I was your only family. I was excited about the car ride until we arrived at the animal shelter. It smelled of dogs and cats, of fear and hopelessness. You filled out the paperwork and said, I know you will find a good home for her. They shrugged and gave you a pained look. They understand the realities facing a middle-aged dog, even one with papers. You had to pry your son's fingers loose from my collar as he screamed, No, Daddy, please don't let them take my dog. And I worried for him and what lessons you had just taught him about friendship and loyalty, about love and responsibility, and about respect for all life. You gave me a goodbye pat on the head, avoided my eyes, and politely refused to take my collar and leash with you. You had a deadline to meet, and now I have one too. After you left, the two nice ladies said that you probably knew about your upcoming move months ago and made no attempt to find me another good home. They shook their heads and asked, How could ye? They are as attentive to us here in the shelter as their busy schedules allow. They feed us, of course, but I lost my appetite days ago. At first, whenever anyone passed my pen, I rushed to the front, hoping it was you, and that you'd changed your mind and that this was all a bad dream. I hoped it would at least be someone who cared, anyone who might save me. Then I realized I could not compete with the frolicking for attention of happy puppies, oblivious to their own fate. I retreated to a far corner and waited. I heard her footsteps as she came for me at the end of the day, and I padded along the aisle after her to a separate room, a blissfully quiet room. She placed me on the table and rubbed my ears and told me not to worry. My heart pounded in anticipation of what was to come, but there was also a sense of relief. The prisoner of love had run out of days. As is my nature, I was more concerned about her. The burden which she bears weighs heavily on her, and I knew that, the same way that I knew your every mood. She gently placed a tourniquet around my foreleg as a tear ran down her cheek. I licked her hand in the same way I used to comfort you so many years ago. She expertly slid the hypodermic needle into my vein. As I felt the sting and cool liquid coursing through my body, I lay down sleepily, looked into her kind eyes, and murmured, How could you? Perhaps she understood my dog speak, because she said, I'm so sorry. She hugged me and hurriedly explained it was her job to make sure I went to a better place, where I wouldn't be ignored or abused or abandoned, or have to fend for myself. A place of love and light so very different from this earthly place. And with my last bit of energy, I tried to convey to her with the thump of my tail that my how could you was not directed at her. It was directed at you, my beloved master. I was thinking of you, and I will think of you and wait for you forever. An essay from a dog.
My goodness.
Yeah, I tell you, when you have pets, you have to face that final day too. But I'm an old softy. What can I say?
An old softy who likes potty humor.
Do you know something? My dad had a good sense of humor, and he told me, he says, we don't stop laughing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop laughing. So a little potty humor never hurt anyone.
I know that's right.
Have you ever had days when you wish you could just crawl into a hole and disappear?
I think we all have.
Yeah. It's days like that when I always remember what Dad told me, because I'd get so excited about something or other, and he'd say, "Hey, don't let it get to you, kid. You're not going to remember any of this 100 years from now." He was correct. Mm-hmm. And so we need a sense of humor. I've learned that we can get by on charm for about 15 minutes, and after that, you'd better have a big willy or huge boobs.
Oh, jeez. I don't even know. Well, I don't. How many people really have 15 minutes worth of charm in them? There's a skill some people could really work on.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite joke?
Oh, goodness. I'm so bad at jokes.
I never remember them. I have to write them down,
I know. I'm the worst.
but I love them. I love them. My favorite joke that I've heard lately is that this mother is bathing her little boy in the sink, you know, and she's bathing the little boy, and the little boy looks down and he notices his testicles, and so he looks up at his mother and says, "Mommy, are these my brains?" And and this very intelligent mother says to her young son, "Not yet, son."
That's great.
It's one of my favorites.
That is just.
You can find humor all around you if you look. I was walking downtown LA one at Pershing Square, and on that old hotel, what is it, the Ambassador? I can't remember what, Biltmore Hotel, I think it is. They have these boards out front that tells who's there, the conventions that are such and such. And I walked by and I stopped and I had to go back and look. I thought, oh my God, did I see what I really saw? And sure enough, on the sign, there were two conventions going in the hotel at the moment. One was the Cork, CORK, Suckers, Soakers, Cork Soakers Union. The Cork Soakers Union. I didn't even know they had a union.
Cork
But
Suckers Union.
yeah, the Cork Soakers.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh! And then under that was a gathering of the mother frockers that sold dresses for women. So I thought, oh my God, here they've got the cork soakers and the mother frockers, and I
That's
laughed.
classic.
I tell you, you can find things to laugh about. Did you hear what the elephant said to the naked man?
No, what?
Oh, it's cute, but can you breathe through it?
You're terrible. This how we're going into our second hour?
Almost. It's time to let them know what the email address is that they can write comments and questions to.
Yes, for those latecomers who joined us on Gay Standard Time, Lundon Calling, Lundon.calling at gmail.com. And of course, London is spelled with a U, so it's LUNDON calling at gmail.com. And through the magic of television, well, I should say the wonders of technology, You can email a question to us and we will answer it live on the show until we figure out how we can take calls. But until then,
Yes,
you've got email.
yes. I'm looking forward to that day. Yeah. Well, I suppose it's time to take the plunge now.
Oh dear, what's that?
Yeah, this. We've gone through a few of the potty mouth jokes and things like that. But now let's talk about something really, as we used to say back in the '60s. Was it? Oh man, that's heavy. Yeah, this is a heavy thing.
Uh oh.
So put on your heavy ears and let's listen. We are what we have been becoming. Folks, this is a truth. We are what we have been becoming. But before we look at that truth, maybe we need to establish that there are some things which we are, which we don't need to become, like gender. We are male or female. We are gay or lesbian.
Now, Ace, you're not
We
leaving
don't,
any room in there for transgender.
no, I'm not, not yet. I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
We don't have to become male or we don't have to become female. We don't have to become gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender. We already are those things. We don't become them. We don't have to become red
Oh, you're
skinned.
so right. Okay,
We don't
I'm
have to
following
become,
now.
yeah, we don't have to become red skinned, yellow skinned, brown skinned, black skinned, white skinned. We already are. And we don't become them.
So instead of we are what we've been becoming, it's really we've been becoming what we are.
Very interesting. And and we don't have to become spiritual beings. We already are. We don't become spiritual. We become religious. We make choices that make us become religious. We
Spiritual
are
beings in a material existence.
yeah, we are an animal species. We're mammal. We suckle the tits of our mothers. That's what a mammal is.
Oh, good,
And
because
like
I was confused.
and like all and like all species, there are freaks in our species, just as there are freaks in every one of the other species. Now, freaks to me is not a negative connotation.
I was going to say, you say freak like it's a bad thing.
No, it's not. Mutations and abnormalities are not negative in my thinking. Dolly Parton is a freak. If you had boobs as big as her, I call that a freak. If you were John Holmes, the porn star with a 14-inch ding dong, that's a freak. But it's not a negative connotation. They just have that little extra. Maybe I guess we all have something
That's a
freaky.
lot of extra.
Yeah, well, yeah. If I had a 14-inch ding dong, I'd throw it over my shoulder and burp it. Yep.
My favorite Dolly Partonism is when she says, it takes a lot of money to look this cheap. Have you ever heard that?
I love it.
That's a great one.
I love Dolly Parton. Okay, now that we all peeked at what we are, that we didn't have to choose, let's look at what we may have become and how we became the who we are today. Have you ever asked yourself the question? Oh, I'm sure you must have. How come I am what I am and who I am? It's just a normal thing, I would think, for most people to ask, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How come I'm poor? How come I'm rich? How come I'm neat or a slob? How come I'm getting good grades or poor grades in school? How come I'm healthy or unhealthy? How come I'm a druggie or an alcoholic? Or how come I'm obese? Well, we are what we have been becoming. Now, since I'm not going to sit down on a shrink's couch with you, I'm going to try and tell you how you can find out yourself. how would you start out trying to find out how you have become what or who you are today? Now, most folks probably don't write their autobiographies, and those that do usually don't do it until they are elderly. But this is really one very, very good way for anyone to find out how they became the who that they are. And you start out like in any autobiography with where you began. Now, when I wrote my autobiography, of course, I wrote it when I was young. Well, that's been 20 some years ago now. Oh, God. Anyway, uh, I was shocked at all that I was learning about myself as I wrote the autobiography. It was all there, but we forget as we go through the years, and we don't stop and remember where we came from and what steps we took that brought us to where we are at the moment. This probably is also a good reason that you should keep a diary. I was looking back in my diaries from my younger years and things like that. My God, I couldn't believe all of the things that I had forgotten. And
Isn't
I
that
realized,
wild?
yeah, and I realized as I looked there that, oh, when I did that, it led me to that other step, which led me to this step. And you can begin to see the steps that have taken you to the who you are at the moment, who you have become. So I would suggest that it's a good idea to learn how you got to be who you are. Your nest years, that's in your home, your younger years. I call it up until about 17 or 18 years old. That'll give you a look at your foundations, your genetic uh, structures, etc., and the foundations of habits. That's when you get into your habits when you're in those nest years, and how you have learned to communicate, because you learn to do that in your grade school years. Or what do they call it today? They don't call it grade school, do they? Elementary school. What do they call it?
Well, they have elementary and middle and high,
Well, that
junior high, senior high, but I
okay.
don't I don't think if
That
I don't think if you said grade school to someone, they wouldn't know what you were talking about. I think
okay.
what
Well,
probably doesn't get used anymore is the term grammar school. Remember that?
oh, I certainly do. Yeah.
I remember my dad talking about being in grammar school and my grandmother, and I was like, was that some special school because you had learning issues? They sent you to
Well,
a special grammar school?
yeah. It's during those grammar school, grade school, elementary school years that you pick up habits, and you also learn your basics of how you communicate with others in along outside of your own immediate family. So you can see how your communication levels began to develop if you look back. And to be in contact, you learn with your fellow animals on the planet. That's your fellow humans, because we're animals. And then at the age of 17 or 18, we usually all leave the nest, and that's when we begin the choices of life that really begin the creation of who we are to become. Um, I can say honestly that I'm not pleased with a number of the choices I have made in life, because they put me through a lot of hell. But
But you
I,
have to know hate to know love.
yes, I can see. Yeah, I remember and thinking about that. My first real hate was my father. I really hated that man when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Learned to love him, really love him, when I was 28, I think, years old. Took all that time. But before that, there was hate.
It
Oh,
takes
yes.
some people a lot longer.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Okay. The email address again that folks can write in?
Lundon Calling, london.calling@gmail.com. And London is Lundon .calling@gmail.com.
Yes, yes. And we are what we have been becoming. So now you're in your late 30s, right?
Yes.
Okay. You'll soon be getting to the wonderful time of life in the 40s and 50s, and then you'll finally reach the most excellent time of life after 60.
Tell him what he's won. Tell me what's in store for me. What's behind door number 3? Or door number 6? The door to your 6th decade. Actually, after 60, it's your 7th decade.
Yes, yes. You're very astute there, Lance. No, it life. We don't stop and think enough in our everyday lives about why we are where we are and who we are and things like this. If we did, we'd be far more comfortable in our life. Like, I'm poor. Okay, I know how I got to be poor. I don't like it, but because I know how I got here, I'm comfortable with that knowledge. And it helps me to also know that I must make certain choices and decisions that may one day take me from being poor to the next step of whatever the next step would be of not being poor. We grow, but we don't stop and think. You hear a lot of people whining. Oh, what good does it do? 100 years from now, you're not going to remember it, honey, so stop your whining, you know?
This sounds to me your little bit there about being poor and all of that sort of reminds me of this. I don't know if it's a Buddhist idea, but it's the idea that to part of being a really evolved, enlightened being is you allow yourself to have the human existence and to have the human emotions and human reactions to what's going on, but you recognize or you become also this objective self that notes what the subjective self is feeling and doing and thinking and is able to say, okay, I note that feeling, that is real, but I also am this objective being who's not basically just caught up in it. So, what I hear you saying is, I'm aware of my dissatisfaction with being poor, but it doesn't overwhelm me, it doesn't consume me. And the objective part of me sets that aside, notes it, and says, but now what am I going to do to get myself out of that situation?
Yeah. Well, you have tapped into the Zen side of my being.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've, in the space of, an hour and 9 minutes, we've gone from fart jokes to Zen. It's great.
Hey, that's life, isn't it?
Well, it's our version of life.
Tell me someone who doesn't fart.
Well, as a Southerner might say, honey, we all do it. We just don't talk about it.
Even my little dog, you know, she'll do her little poop and then she'll look at me and say, "Are you sure that you notice?" And yes, I did. So we know, yeah. Hey, I just received an alert from the state police in Michigan. Okay, all of you at CMU and up there in Michigan area, perk up. It says they have found an unidentified man's body in a park. They describe him as having a beer belly, saggy balls, wrinkly ass, and a small dick. Well, I thought I better check to see that all you guys up there in Michigan are okay. You're okay? Okay, that's good. because that was a state police alert.
They did not publish that alert. There's just no way.
You mean I made that up?
Maybe. Well, while you were busy making up that, I was Googling samsara. Do you know that word?
And well, SARA.
Samsara. S-A-M as in Mary, S as in
Oh,
Sam, A-R-A.
yes, I've heard the word. Yes.
Well, this is an extension of our little Buddhist discussion, our Zen discussion, for the benefit of our gentle listeners. Wikipedia says that samsara is the Sanskrit term for, quote, continuous movement or continuous flowing, and it refers in Buddhism to the concept of a cycle of birth and consequent decay and death, in which all beings in the universe participate and which can only be escaped through enlightenment. Samsara is associated with suffering and is generally considered the antithesis of nirvana. To me, samsara is the material existence that you can easily get trapped in and forget that you are a spiritual being. So to me, to be caught up in samsara is to live fully on that subjective side and to never be able to step out of that and be. One of the images that I was given years ago by a mentor is there are two birds on a branch. You know, there's a branch on a tree. This is a tree that bears fruit. One of the birds on the branch is eating the fruit, and the other bird on the branch is watching the bird eating the fruit. The bird eating the fruit is the subjective. The bird watching the other bird is the objective. And so samsara is to be fully consumed with the immediate experience, which, you know, and of course in Buddhism there are all these concepts of suffering, decay, and death. And then, of course, the objective is the enlightened perspective, the ability to observe it, note it, but also be a bit larger than what's going on.
Mm-hmm. It's like, how can you have passion in life without being totally freaked out? You know? Well, you can. You can have a very quiet passion.
Here's the crazy thing about the word samsara. I think there's a perfume named samsara.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I really do. I remember seeing this and thinking, wow, what what silly person. Yep, samsara perfume. Who in the world? Oh, by Guerlain. Oh my goodness. I think that's a French. You know, who thought it would be a good idea to name a perfume after a concept
They
like
pay
that?
people big bucks to come up with those names. You know that.
Well, just because they pay them big bucks doesn't mean they're smart.
They lucked out.
Yeah. And that's
By the way, all of you Michigan men up there, after thinking about that state police alert, never say these things to a cop, please. Okay? Don't say to a cop, "I can't reach my license unless you hold my beer." No, no, that's not a good thing to say to a cop.
no, it's better to say, hold this shot.
Or when the officer tells you, "Gee, your eyes look red. Have you been drinking?" You should probably not respond with,
No, I've been
"Gee,
smoking weed. What's up?
yeah, yeah." That, or you shouldn't say, "Gee, officer, your eyes look glazed. Have you been eating donuts?"
Oh,
And
that's
never,
terrible.
never tell a cop, "Aren't you the guy from the Village People?"
Yeah.
Hey, I saw an ad in the Atlanta Journal.
When was this and how'd you get your hands on the Atlanta Journal?
Oh, don't ask me questions like that. I don't know. I I do an awful lot of reading and things like this, and so I just don't keep track of when. It's the ad. It says single black female seeks male companionship. Ethnicity unimportant. I'm a very good girl who loves to play. I love long walks in the woods, riding in the pickup truck, hunting, camping, and fishing trips, cozy winter nights lying by the fire. Candlelight dinners will have me eating out of your hand. I'll be at the front door when you get home from work wearing only what nature gave me. Call 404 da 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 and ask for Daisy. I'll be waiting. Do you know that this ad got over 15,000 men responding to it?
Whoa.
And they were
You're
talking.
making this up. There's no way
No,
this is true.
I'm not. And
Really?
they were talking to the Atlanta Humane Society.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't it great?
That's great.
I think it's one of the best ads I've ever seen. They that was wonderful.
That is brilliant.
Hey, is our show a straight or a gay show? I've been asked
Um, Both and neither.
that. Well, years ago, I met a lady who said she couldn't believe her idol was a homosexual. And I said to myself, she didn't know that Liberace was gay? What planet, lady? Well, I must admit that Lee hadn't made a declaration of coming out of his closet, so I gave her the benefit of the doubt. But man, and I'm not into outing people. I really am not, because coming out of a closet is not an easy task to do.
Well, but what do you think about the whole idea of outing people who are actively damaging gay people or LGBT people? You know,
Well, if they're doing,
the stereotypical, or the person in power, say the often demonized closeted Republican operative, who's helping to sponsor anti-gay marriage ballot initiatives around the country and so forth and so
it could be a Democratic operative too, Lance.
on.
Who
Okay,
knows?
so take politics out of it. Would you out this
Okay.
person? More
Well,
importantly,
what I would do is I'd contact my local newspaper, and I would get a good investigative reporter who deals with that type of investigation, and let them turn them on to it, and let them break the story in the news rather than just start a gossip monger thing going. I would like it to just come all out, you know. My I our
except that
show.
now it's almost like gossip is the way it gets done.
I
Like I
know
remember Bill Maher on his show just sort of, kind of in his way saying, Ken Millman, who's gay. Um, and then people started to question it, and it ended up in the blogosphere. And it's like, well, the line between journalism and gossip has gotten a bit blurred.
it has. Yeah, that's why I don't like some of the television commentator shy type shows. It gets into the gossip area too much. I like the news shows, but it's like Ellen DeGeneres. She's gay. Does she have a gay show? No. Graham Norton, who's one of my favorite talk show hosts on the BBC. God, he's funny. He is wildly gay. And his show, I don't know if you'd call it gay or not, but boy, it is crazy. Then there's Anderson Cooper, who is out of his closet. He doesn't have a life mate or
Is
anything.
he out?
Yeah. Hmm.
How? What does it mean? Is he out?
I mean, he has acknowledged the fact that he is a gay man.
Oh, I must have
Public,
been. I must have
public,
been watering the lawn when this happened.
publicly. But is the Anderson Cooper news show gay? No, it's a news
I
show.
was going to say, if his show's gay, I'm straight.
Yeah. Then there's Dr. Susie Orman on what do you call the
Oh,
economic side.
Ace, do you watch Saturday Night Live at all?
Uh, I not very often. I haven't had a chance to see it that
So
much.
you haven't seen any of their spoofs of Susie Orman?
No, but I can imagine because she's quite
Yeah,
a character.
you've got to Google it. You got to get your hands on it. It is
Well,
a stitch.
here is a lesbian woman who is brilliant, Dr. Susie Orman, and she helps people with their economic problems and such.
Right.
Does she have a gay show? No. And then there's Dr. Rachel Maddow
Yeah, there's
on
nothing gay about saving money.
yeah, exactly. And Dr. Rachel Maddow on CSNBC or whatever it is. She is as a commentary show that's news, etc. Is hers a lesbian show? No, no. And there's Craig Wilson, the wonderful writer down at USA Today, and his column. Is his column gay? No. Deb Price at the Detroit News. Uh, these are
Okay,
people.
her column can be pretty gay. She pretty
Yeah.
much writes about a lot
Well,
of gay stuff.
it's like our show. We are not afraid to talk about gay, and we're not afraid to, not because we are gay, but just because we it's part of life, you know. Uh, so no, our show isn't gay and it isn't straight. It's just a show, you know. So
Amen to that.
we'll settle that question.
Well, and it's funny. I'm going to take your little dissertation on gay versus straight, and I'm going to make it racial, because that's my thing.
Yeah.
One of my things. I have many things. Um, Here's the interesting thing. So, a prominent out gay person has a show, and everybody's like, "Oh, okay, they're gay. Is this a gay show? Are they going to gay it up? Are they going to make it?" So everybody's on guard for that. No one ever does that to straight people. So here's the reality that I'm living. I'm about almost 2 months into this new job of mine where I work at a majority black company. My coworkers never say anything about my ethnicity. It just doesn't come up, just not on their radar, or they're too cool to talk about it, or it's a non issue. Take your pick.
Mm-hmm.
White people, on the other hand, like to talk about it. They're like, well, what's it like over there? And, how are you
Yeah.
doing? And, not concerned, but just like, they're like, it's the whole like, wow, that's a bold move. Um,
It shows how much more education we have to have in this country to
well,
get
yeah, I
the
guess
standard.
education is the word for it. Maybe awareness is another. I think if there's one thing, uh,
Education makes people aware.
well, what's interesting is the difference between the people who live on the margins versus the people who live on the mainstream. And so the point I'm making is um, I think the reason that African Americans have not questioned what I'm doing, or at least not to my face, maybe they just have better manners. But I think part of it too is, and this is what I find so fascinating, the white people who have felt, and I mean, I've had some people comment kind of boldly on what I'm doing, and it cracks me up because I don't think they realize that what I'm doing is what black people do in this country every day. They've been doing
Yep.
it for years. Black people live in white neighborhoods. They work at, majority white company. And I don't even mean to say white neighborhoods, but black
Yeah.
people on a day-to-day basis in this country know what it's like to be in situations where there are more white people in the room than black people. All the stuff that goes along with that. But let a white person turn the tables on that, and white people just really feel like they need to comment on that. Like, well, what's that all about? And what's that like? And all that. And I'm like, are you really that ignorant? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
take a look at your own majority white workplace and the non-white people that you work with, and what do you think it is like for them? Do you really think they walk in that room? And I don't know. I don't. I'll put it to you this way. I don't think it's that an African American walks into a majority white workplace and doesn't think on occasion, wow, this is an all white joint, or it's a little uncomfortable, or oh, I wish I didn't have to do this today. But I will say this. Yeah, my first couple of days at work, it was on my mind. I was like, wow, I'm really doing this. I'm the white dude who goes to work for a black company, basically, and I'm cool with it, whatever. But it's on your mind. You know what? Not anymore. I'm two
Yeah.
months into it,
It's
and
sort of like it's sort of like now, I don't know if you've ever been to a nudist camp or not, but my wife and I were.
exactly like probably the first time you go there, you're like, wow, I'm really doing this. We're
Yeah,
actually all naked. But then about 2 months into it, like you would
2 months,
forget.
40,
And somebody walks in
45,
with clothes on, and you're like, whoa.
45 seconds after you're there, you don't notice that you're nude and everybody else
That
is
is a
nude.
great example. That's a great parallel.
You know, when I was listening to all of these news things with the election and such, I heard this. It said 90% of the population think the country is headed in the wrong direction. And
Wait,
I
did you
said,
just say 97%?
90%, they said on the newscast. And I
When
thought,
was this poll taken?
during that crazy election time. 90%, I said. Oh, what about the 10% that were polled
that think we're
that
doing
didn't?
just fine.
They must have been in insane
They
asylums or
clearly don't
something.
have a 401k, or they're not reading their
No.
statements.
We've been talking about gay situations. We more than probably we normally would on any of my shows, but since we're talking about gays, I got a gay joke for you. This was sent to me many years ago by a friend of mine who has passed away now. She went way too soon, but she sent this crazy joke, and I love it. These three friends, two straight guys and a gay guy, and their significant others were on a cruise. A tidal wave came up and swamped the ship. They all drowned, and the next thing you know, they're standing before St. Peter. First came one of the straight guys and his wife, and St. Peter shook his head sadly and said, I can't let you in. You love money too much. You loved it so much you even married a woman named Penny. Then,
I thought you were going
then,
to say you loved it so much you married Cindy McCain.
then came the then came the second straight guy,
Maybe
and
that's
the
her middle
second
name.
And the second one said, Peter said, sorry, I can't let you in either. You love food too much. You love to eat so much, you even married a woman named Candy.
Oh, jeez.
And then the gay guy turned to his boyfriend and whispered nervously, this doesn't look good for us, Dick.
I knew that's where you were going with this. I was like, his name's either gonna be Dick or somehow it's gonna be a fart joke.
Oh, God.
Oh God.
Did I hear the tinkle of ice in a glass, Lance?
No, you didn't. What you might have heard was me doing a little minor adjustment to my eyeglasses. I just realized that they're not level.
Oh,
You
okay.
know how you can flip them over on a flat surface?
Are you sure it's not your eyes? Did you know that one eye is higher than the other eye?
Oh, yeah.
For
I
everyone.
have the one
We
here
all we
over
all have
here
it.
as
We
well.
all have it, and I didn't know this until when my wife was a beauty queen and an actress and a model. One of the things that she had to do before she would do a modeling shoot, her agency would send her to a chiropractor, I guess that would be called, whatever they were, and
To have her eyes adjusted?
he would adjust her cranium so that her eyes were straight across.
You are lying. Is
No,
that
I'm
even
not lying.
possible?
That's when I learned that our eyes were different. And then I started looking at
Well, I knew they
myself.
were different. I'm still stuck at you can get a chiropractic adjustment to fix that.
Yeah, well, your cranium is malleable.
I don't want it to be malleable. I don't want that option.
Well, anyway, I think it's time we
Now, if
make
I
a
were Shannon
toast.
Doherty, is that the name of that chick from Beverly Hills 90210? If the shit was that obvious, me and my $50 at the chiropractor, sure, no problem. But, she's also on TV a lot. I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah. I think we should make a toast on each show to something that, or an organization or a person or something that is doing something decent.
Well, then
And
I think we should toast the good people who fought the good fight and lost by a razor thin margin in California.
well, that's a good toast. Yes.
I'm looking at a news story now, updated. It's actually, well, it's probably not that. It's not as updated as probably it doesn't have the latest returns, I'm sure. But anyway, it says with 95% of the vote in California in the yes votes on Proposition 8 are 52 to 48% for the no.
Hmm. It lost here in Arizona and it lost in South
Oh, it
Dakota, I believe.
lost in every state where it was up. It's
Yeah.
not, you don't put stuff like that up. And you know what the numbers were in Florida. In Florida, um, the way their laws work, a measure like that has to pass by 60% or more.
Yeah.
And that bad boy passed by 62%. But here's the thing. I can only hope that under the next generation Supreme Court that, of course, we're going to pack with Obama nominees.
Well, it's only if
Some
they die or retire.
someone will say, you know what, it is just unconstitutional and un-American to subject anyone's civil rights, I don't care what kind of rights it is or what you want to call it, but to subject anyone's rights to a popular vote. What what if we had tried to vote on the Voting Rights Act in 1965 or the Civil Rights Act in 64? I mean,
Yeah.
how well would that have gone? You can look at the map and predict how that would have gone. Look at the states that would have taken it up. Mississippi. Yeah, that wouldn't have gone well. Let's see, let me do a little Google News here and let's just look at the latest.
I think we should make a toast to the P flag. Uh,
Well, that was going to be you know what? And bless you for saying that. That's where my head was. And the reason I said Prop 8 is because PFLAG actually committed a lot of resources
yeah,
to
I
fighting
read.
Prop 8. They sent a lot of, not that PFLAG has a lot of staff, but they actually sent people, which for PFLAG is sending a lot of staff, just to send anybody to California. And they did a lot to focus the hearts and minds and wallets of PFLAGers on California. I
I think we
sent
better
money
tell
to the
people.
campaign.
We better tell the people what P flag stands for.
Parents, families, and friends of lesbians and gays, although that's sort of an outdated acronym because we also, you know, are allies of transgender people and have transgender members, and we also support intersex people and queer and questioning people, and just two spirit, whatever's out there. That's why I say queer.
Yeah.
PFLAG,
Oh,
the way I explain it to people is yes, PFLAG was founded as PFLAG was actually founded as parents and friends of lesbians and gays. Families was added, I think, in the 90s. But
yeah.
what I tell people now when I talk about the logo and PFLAG and why we don't spell it out in our logo is um, it's kind of the IBM thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many people, if you stopped them on the street today, would be able to tell you, oh, that stands for International Business Machines, which, was a typewriter company, typewriters and
yeah.
adding machines. So that's about where it's at for us. It's like, well, our name kind of goes back to the typewriter and adding machine era of LGBT stuff. But now we're just PFLAG.
Well, I'm happy to say that I was involved in the formation days of P flag.
Oh, you have to tell us about that.
I tell you, I was at that time managing editor of a publication, and my secretary came in and says, "Ace, there's a lady out here that wants to talk with you." And I said, "Well, send her in."
Who
So
was it? Who was it?
Adele Starr.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, and this little lady came into my office. She reminded me of my mother. Uh, she was a cutie. And she says, "We're having a problem, Mr. Lundon, because no publications want to help us promote what my friend Jean Manford, I think was her name, on the East Coast and I are doing to help people, to help parents who have found out that they have a gay child."
Jeannie Manford was the woman in New York who marched in the 1972 New York Gay Pride Parade after her son was beaten uh, on a New York City street while police watched and did nothing.
Yeah.
And the sign
Well,
that she carried, there's a picture of it on the PFLAG website. And the sign that she carried said, "Parents of gays unite in support for our children." And she marched with her son.
now Jean was on the East Coast and Adele was
Was
in
on
the
the
Los
West
Angeles
Coast. I
area.
think Adele was the woman who kind of ended up running PFLAG out of her living room, right?
Yeah, yeah. And anyway, she came in and says, "Nobody wants to help us." And I says, "Well, tell me about what you're doing." And she told me what they were trying to do and how to help parents, cope with their lives once they found out that they had a child who was gay. And I said, "Hey, that is a great thing." I said, "I will see that our publication starts telling our readers all about it, and we did, and I was so pleased because it helped it grow, you know. But
Well, now, do you know the Dear Abby story?
when Pauline did something,
Well, Pauline, you're talking about Paulette Goodman, right?
no, I'm talking about Abigail, dear Abby, Pauline,
Oh, gotcha. Yes, because
the
apparently, I
original.
think Adele Starr is the woman who she was running PFLAG out of her living room in LA, and she managed to get Dear Abby. No, what
Yeah,
happened? No, Dear Abby, somebody wrote in and said something about, I have a gay child or whatever. And Dear Abby, in her, classic style,
yeah,
responded back and said, what you need to do is you need to contact this organization, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. Here's their mailing address. And so she published, this is back before the internet,
yeah,
published this mailing address in her column in these newspapers all over the country. This was in 1980, I want to say. And apparently, what happened at that point was so much mail came addressed to Adele Starr that she ended up having to go to the post office to pick it up in sacks.
yeah.
And
You know,
that's what turned PFLAG into a national organization. And then Adele opened the first PFLAG office in LA, and she became
I
its
met
founding
Pauline.
president.
I met Pauline way back in the early '70s, and we featured her as the Woman of the Month in one of our publications. And she's been a dear friend to the gay community and dear friend, period, to anybody. She is just a wonderful woman.
And
She
now
is,
it's her daughter, right, that's doing
yeah,
the column.
yeah,
Well, now
Jean.
her daughter is a national PFLAG spokesperson
Yeah,
now
Jean is a wonderful person
for
too.
their
Yeah,
Straight for Equality program, and she spoke at the PFLAG Gala dinner at the National Convention last October in DC.
yeah, I read about it, and I talked to her about it. I asked
Yeah.
her how she liked it. She said she had a wonderful time there.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
good. It was a great convention.
yeah. But Pauline is suffering now with that miserable Alzheimer's disease. So bless her heart. I pray
Bless
for
her
her a
heart.
lot.
When
Yeah.
did you start saying bless her heart? Was it before you knew me?
Oh yes, yeah. It's an old farm thing. Bless your heart.
Oh, really? Because I've thought of it as a Southern thing, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really recall that I even knew it existed the whole time I was growing up here. It wasn't until I moved back to Georgia 6 years ago that I heard people say it and realized it is the absolute best, most versatile response to almost any situation because
Yeah,
it can mean anything. Like you can literally, it can be, she's got stage 4 cancer, well, bless her heart. Or it can
yeah,
be, did you see what she wore to work today? Bless
yeah.
her heart.
Bless her heart. Yep.
There's just about no phrase in the English language, certainly in the American English, that is that versatile. Oh, bless her heart.
Well, we make a toast to PFLAG, a national nonprofit organization with over 200,000 members and supporters today and over 500 affiliates in the United
Oh,
States.
you are
And
good, Ace.
and folks, if you're out there listening and you know some parent that's going through hell because they've found out one of their children happens to be a gay or lesbian or bi or transgender, and they don't know where to turn or who to turn to, turn them onto E-Flag.
Oh,
Turn them
yeah, we
on
should probably give a
E-Flag.
web address, Ace. We're
Yeah.
giving out all this information.
Okay. Yes, we will. So now the vast grassroots network of PFLAG is cultivated, resourced, and serviced by the national office located in Washington, D.C. And it is just a wonderful organization today, and I'm so proud to be a supporter of it. Now, Lance, do you happen to have the, what do you call the web address or whatever you want?
I do. It's very simple. It's www.pflag.org.
Okay, so
P
folks,
as in Paul, F as in Frank, LAG as in George.
mhm. That's good. Yes. Okay. Wonderful. I got a gay joke.
Well, you know what? Let me say one thing before you move on.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let's do the Socratic method. Do you know what percentage of PFLAG members are not straight?
No, I don't know that.
60.
That's good. That means that a lot of parents and allies are involved. Good.
Well, no. PFLAG actually is a majority LGBT organization in membership. And the only reason I bring that up is because you were just doing your piece on, if you know anybody who's a parent or a family member, a friend or ally of an LGBT person, but I'll tell you, there's a whole extra aspect to PFLAG that isn't on people's radar unless they really know the organization, and it's one of the things I love about being involved in it is that PFLAG functions very differently, I think, in rural communities. You probably know this because you've lived in a lot of different places from the way that it functions, say, in sort of the stereotypical urban area, where chapters tend to be more sort of parent driven and straight ally driven.
Well, that would be kind of logical that it would be that way.
But in more remote parts of the country, PFLAG chapters tend to have a lot of LGBT members and people who come to meetings because it may be the only thing going in that
Yeah.
particular community. And what I always say to people about that is you can start a PFLAG chapter with three people and a vision or a dream. And it's great because you don't need to build a community center. You don't need to hang a sign. You don't need to invest in a single brick. You can have a place for people to go. And so, because of that, I think it feels kind of a unique. PFLAG does a couple or three or four or 10 different things at once because of that.
Well,
So,
we're trying to get something started here in our little Redneckville area because
exactly.
you
Because
know
what else is there? I mean, it's not like certain
there are
other
no
organizations that shall
there are
remain
no there
nameless have
for
established a storefront for you.
for the many closeted gays and the many out gays that live in the area. There's nothing for them to go to, or things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I worked in Reno when I lived up there, and Holly Wilson and I and another guy started the PFLAG chapter up there, and it went up to uh, hundreds of people, and now chapters go up and down.
Right.
There's the roller coaster
They
ride.
ebb and flow like the tides.
Yeah, I haven't heard how they're doing now, but you know, that's the way it goes. But you just keep on going on because an activist never stops.
The beat goes on.
Yeah. Okay, now my little joke. This this man escapes from prison where he's been locked up for 15 years, and he breaks into a house to look for money and guns. Inside, he finds a young couple in bed. He orders the guy out of the bed and ties him to a chair. And while he's tying the homeowner's wife to the bed, the convict gets on top of her, kisses her neck, then gets up and goes into the bathroom. While he's in there, the husband whispers over to his wife, "Listen, this guy is an escaped convict. Look at his clothes. He's probably spent a lot of time in jail and hasn't seen a woman in years. And I saw how he kissed your neck. If he wants sex, honey, don't resist him. Don't complain. Do whatever he tells you. Satisfy him no matter how much he nauseates you. This guy is obviously very dangerous, and if he gets angry, he'll probably kill us both. So be strong, honey. I love you." And the wife responds, "He wasn't kissing my neck. He was whispering in my ear. He told me that he's gay and thinks you're cute and asked if we had any Vaseline. I told him it was in the bathroom. So, honey, be strong. I love you too, sweetie."
That's a classic.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot. I see the time is running by. We've been talking a lot about gay, but do you know that being gay or lesbian is risking jail time in 86 countries today and the death penalty in 7 of them? In 2009, no less than 86 member states of the United Nations still criminalize consensual same sex acts between or among adults. Thus, institutionally promoting a culture of hatred. And among those, 7 have legal provisions with death penalty as punishment. To those 86 countries, you've got to add 6 provinces or territorial units which also punish homosexuality with imprisonment. My friends, are you still thinking that folks can or might choose to be gay? Do you think we're stupid? Do you think Ellen, Rosie, Jodie Foster, Elton John, Rudolph Valentino, Tyrone Power, Cary Grant, Randolph Scott, Rock Hudson, Tab Hunter, Liberace, Sal Mineo, or the Brady Bunch father Robert Reed, or the son Barry Williams, or Valerie Bertinelli's brother on One Day at a Time, Glenn Scarpelli, or Gomer Pyle, Jim Neighbors, or Patrick Stewart would choose to be gay? My friends, if you think that, I don't know what planet you're from. We don't choose to be gay. We happen to be, and we have to live with it. And you have to live with us, and we have to live with you. So I just put that in there because I'm sick and tired of anybody saying, when did I choose to be gay?
Now, when you say you make excellent points, but let me take you back to Barry Williams for a second.
Okay.
So he's gay.
Yeah, Barry was a guest on our show.
Oh, okay. When did he come out?
He has been out and he wrote a book even. Put it in his book.
Where have I been?
Yeah, well, that's what I said too, you know. Gee.
um, because I did a Google on him and got Wikipedia, and apparently he only divorced his second wife in '06. So did he come out while he was married?
I don't know. Did I come out when I was married? Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Interesting. Well, I missed that news flash.
Yes, you did. We stopped the newspapers from printing our story. You know,
Very interesting.
you don't brag about it. Gee, you know, hi folks, I'm gay. Big deal. Who cares? You know, so we're gay. We don't choose it, but we're stuck with it. And it's like I told my oldest son when he was like 14 or 15, and he asked, he says, "Do you think I'm a homosexual?" And I said, "What?" Now, this was before I'd come out of my closet. And I said, "What on earth made you ask that question?" And he said, "Oh, we're talking about it in school." I said, You're talking about homosexuality in schools?" And he goes, "Well, you know, kids, not the teachers, but the kids." I said, "Whoa, okay." And then all the time my mind is going, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to answer the kid? Do I think he's homosexual?" Um, and I got to thinking, you know, Jesus and all of the big domos in the world, when they were asked a question, they never answered the question except with another question. And so I thought, okay, I'll say to him, "Do you think you're gay? Or do you think you're a homosexual?" And he goes, "No." I said, "Okay, by your age, you'd probably have a pretty good inkling if you were. You'd know that you were pretty different. There's something going on there." And he says, "Okay." And so from that day on, he never had any trouble. And before he left the room, I says, "Well, kid, you're a heterosexual. You got to get used to that because it ain't easy." And and I said, "You're going to have to learn how to cope with being being a heterosexual, just like those that are homosexuals have to cope with that." Well, he's never had any problems since. He knows who he is. He is a heterosexual. That's it. As a result, he doesn't have hatred or anything for gays. He has a lot of gay friends, etc., and they're just plain buddies, you know, because he knows he what he is, and he knows what they are, and they know what they are. That's important.
Amen to that.
I think we got time for just a little. Oh, I got one thing here. Uh, for those of you listening and have access, of course, you have access to the internet. You're listening on it. My God, how dumb am I? Anyway, www.barbaraspatulajohnson.com. Barbara Johnson is an evangelical Protestant, one of the born again group, and her son came out to her, nearly wrecked her, she said. She started a wonderful ministry, uh, and she passed away just recently, but her life counted so much after that when she realized that her son did not choose to be gay. And I want you to look up Barbara Spatula Johnson.
And that really
Uh,
is the URL. It's Barbara Spatula
yeah,
Johnston.
she was just an old housewife, you know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And they're having a big what's called International Arts for Cause exchange thing coming up, where they do fundraising for organizations. And Barbara's organization still goes on, and her gay son is now in charge of it, David.
David
And
Johnson.
yeah, and they're having this coming up, and so folks check into it, because on this International Arts for Cause exchange, it's like auction. You know, it's like what's that? Those shows that I never watch, where they, you know, Joan Rivers holds up her jewelry and things like that. What are those called?
Oh, the home shopping.
Yeah, it's like a home shopping, only it's auctions. You might be able to find something wonderful, and if you get it, you'll be able to help the Barbara Johnson Foundation. She's done a wonderful thing, bless her heart, and her son is keeping going. Let me just. Oh
I
boy,
couldn't
yeah,
help but notice on her website, barbaraspatulajohnson.com, and they show a couple of her book titles. One of them is Pack Up Your Gloomies in a Great Big Box, Then Sit on the Lid and Laugh. And
yeah,
another one is Splashes of Joy in the Cesspools of Life.
yeah. Oh, she was a wonderful, wonderful lady who was still her evangelical self, but she made a big difference and helped a lot of evangelicals uh, who had gay children. And so this is what she does. Anyway, I'm
And
going to give you.
apparently her house is for sale.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but
Anybody who's looking
if they,
for a house in, I assume this is in Palm Springs.
yeah, she passed away, like I say, recently. Yeah. Okay, as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, that which we persist in doing becomes easier. Not that the task itself has become easier, but that our ability to perform it has improved. So, folks, if you are doing something and you think it's very difficult, just keep on doing it, because it'll get easier the more you do it and the longer you do it.
Is this a sexual reference?
No, well, it
Okay.
could help. Yeah, it probably could.
I'm just, you're talking about longer and harder and easier and
Yes.
keep on and
I, I can't get those words out of my head because they're part of the language, you know. Anyway, we we need to we need to, as activists, just keep on doing. It's not easy, you know, but it gets easier. You just get more used to it, you know.
you get seasoned.
Yeah, yeah, like somebody sprinkled salt on you or something.
That's
Anyway,
right.
I think I've got time for this. Modern Western expressions of gay identity, behavior, and subculture only began emerging a mere 3 centuries ago in the European cities of Amsterdam, London, Florence, and Paris. Up until that time, there was only same sex behavior, not same sex people. Contemporary gay identity, the definition of oneself as gay, did not previously exist. According to the medieval church, the abominable vice of sodomy was not the sin of a specific class of people, but an evil temptation to which anyone could succumb. Prior to the 1700s, there was no gay social milieu. Then came the bawdy private parties held in the molly houses of 18th century London. These were forerunners of modern gay bars. Long before Hampstead Heath, there was the gay cruising ground in the gardens adjacent to Buckingham Palace. This is how the quote gay scene, as we now call it, began. History shows us that same sexuality was and is an evolving cultural phenomenon. The idea that queers are a distinct class of people and are fundamentally different from straights is historically very recent, originating primarily from the normative theories of late 19th century early psychology. Indeed, the word homosexual was only coined in the 1860s. Actually, it was 1869. That's when the word homosexual was coined. Before then, no such term existed. And 100 years later, the word gay was coined in 1969. But this would seem to suggest that just as the contemporary configurations of gay identity came into being at a certain moment in social development, one day, if social conditions change, they will also fade away. So will homosexual identity as we currently understand it. The labels gay and straight are cultural inventions, primarily devised to police sexual desire. By labeling same sexers as a distinct group of people, society marks them out as different or other. This has functioned as a way to identify, marginalize, and control the queer menace. In the future, more enlightened epoch, homophobia will be vanquished. Anti-gay attitudes will be deemed as ridiculous as flat earth theories and opposition to votes for women. In this cultural context, the differences between hetero and homo will lose their significance. My friends, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. You think that you shouldn't study because you're too old now? Please! When I stop studying will be the day that they put me in that, well, I'm going to be cremated. So in the oven.
But
Okay?
they're going to put you in something first.
Mm-hmm. It looks like we are really getting down to the last few seconds of our show, Lance. I hope that our people have been listening, have enjoyed us.
I
I
hope
hope
the
they'll
time
hear.
has flown by for them the way it's flown by for me.
Yeah, I hope they'll email us at Lundon Calling. That's LUNDON calling at gmail.com.
That's
Let us
right.
hear from you. Let us hear from you. Lance is in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm here in the Mojave Desert in Bullhead City, Arizona. And it's wonderful to be able to know that we have technology that can accomplish this. I just can't believe it. And folks, as we close down, I gotta tell you this because it's the way I usually close each show. I don't care if you lick windows, have to take a special bus, or occasionally pee on yourself. You just hang in there, sunshine, because you are friggin' special. And don't you ever forget it. And also, never forget that you can't lift a man out of a well if you are in the well with him.
Oh, that's
So,
good.
folks, if you are having problems, deal with them, cope with them, get them out of the way, and then you'll be able to help others who are going through the problems too because you've been there, done that. And don't feel sorry for yourself or I'll hit you with my purse. Okay? So you just, like I say, you hang in there, sunshine, because you are friggin' special. And I thank you. I thank you for listening. And I hope you'll tell all of your friends, you know, just, just send out 1,000 of emails to your closest friends. Okay? I hope you have 1,000 friends. And it is time now. And we love you. See you next week
Good night,
at
everyone.
7 p.m. Pacific time. Night, night.